truck and our excavator to improve this road so that we can more easily build a really cool cabin out of giant boulders on top of this mountain. Well, clearly we didn't get enough of these trucks driving them 1,200 miles home because we've been home for what, like 3 days? And we're already off on another adventure. We got Bjorn. I think he likes the MTVs. They got a big dog seat right in the middle here. We're gonna go up to the mountain property and see how good this thing is at being a dump truck. It may not totally come across on camera, but this section of road is incredibly steep. I built this whole section. There was no road here at all when I bought this property, but it's still way too steep to reasonably drive up year-round or even half of the year. So that's the main thing we're gonna work on today, is making that section less steep and then using the extra dirt from that to fill in some other sections where there wasn't enough dirt to work with in the first place. I've been driving this road pretty frequently for 3 or 4 years now to get up to a mountain property, and honestly, I've been imagining driving it in some form of FMTV for most of those years. So it's really awesome to finally be cruising up the road in an MTV that's also a dump truck. But this thing is massive compared to anything else I've ever driven. So we had to clear quite a few branches and dead trees from the sides of the road to get this thing up there. It was super fun cruising it up the road. It's definitely a massive truck, so it's rough on the big bumps and stuff. You have to go slower than my Tundra, but for how massive it is, it's really a smooth ride. And hopefully in the future, I'll even upgrade the suspension a bit more. Well, Bjorn, what do you think? Man, it's beautiful up here this time of year. Rocks. 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 This thing runs so good. And it fires up instantly, like every time, even cold. You ready for some excavations? Are you ready? Yeah. Oh, I know. It's so exciting.
Bjorn, are you excited?
Coming up here for the last few years has been what I do on the weekends for fun and to relax. So now that we've started filming it and documenting it and making it into videos, getting to call it work to go up there and build roads and start working on a crazy cabin has been just absolutely amazing. Figured we'd start with a little bit of landscaping around here. We need to get all this loose dirt out of here so that when we start building the house that's got a solid base, and we're gonna make a parking spot over there so we don't constantly have to shuffle vehicles. Pretty much every day at Grind Hard, it's insane what we get to call a job and a career. But for me personally, going up to the mountain property and building stuff out in the woods with some of my best friends and the closest thing I have to a father. So being able to share that with you guys watching the videos through the miracle of YouTube get paid has been amazing. Man, this is so cool. You know, some people like best day ever would be, I don't know, driving a Lamborghini in Monaco and then like getting on a yacht, right? Like that's the best you can imagine. To be fair, I can maybe imagine this being better in some ways, but effectively, this is me in a Lamborghini in Monaco with a yacht. This is the Lamborghini, that's the yacht. I'm not sure, one of them. That's the Lamborghini, this is the yacht.
It's like when you're a kid and you have a sandbox, except Ethan has a bigger sandbox and bigger sandbox toys.
Yeah.
Also, that's not perfectly accurate. Some of these are like only good for a sandbox, like this one.
Steven, you've never driven any of these things. It's time to change that. Hop in here.
I haven't graduated to a full scoop yet.
Well, that's okay. That was your first scoop ever in this excavator, so. Boom down.
Am I still?
That's stick out, so boom down is right. Yep. And then you can kind of just dump there. Just kind of ease it out, make sure you're not going to hit anything. Steven's first scoop with the excavator was tiny, but for someone who's never really operated an excavator, he managed not to break anything. So that's a really good place to start. Twirl the bucket.
So that trigger does that. How do I release it?
One of the buttons on the back there, and it'll just, yep. Nice. You've been invited to the sandbox, Steven.
Hey!
Now we're all playing in the
It was my
sandbox.
initiation.
Playing in the sandbox together.
I haven't even broke anything yet. I guess I shouldn't say that too loud.
Nice. You can try it again later and it'll feel a lot better.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'll just soak in the information, watch you do a little more.
Yeah. This dump truck is a 1999 Stewart & Stevenson M1090, which means it's the dump truck variant of the MTV built for the U.S. military, which stands for Medium Tactical Vehicle. Collectively, the LMTV and the MTV are part of the family of military tactical vehicles, the only difference being whether it's 4- or 6-wheel drive. And they came in a ton of different variants, from flatbeds to crane trucks to dump trucks. We got the dump truck variant, which for us is by far the most useful. It has just over 7-liter inline-6 Caterpillar diesel engine. It has mechanical injection, so it's quite simple, and that's paired with a Allison MD3070 transmission. That's paired with an Allison automatic transmission with 7 speeds. It has 6-wheel drive with 6 46-inch tires. They're absolutely massive. And it has a central tire inflation system that lets you, at the push of a button, air up or air down the tires as you drive. I let Chris drive my truck for 2 seconds and he brakes it. That thing that was leaking before, you can hear it. It's just bleeding off all the pressure. The brakes won't build up pressure.
I can't help it if your truck is so breakable.
There's a small spring on the property, which when I bought the property was barely noticeable. It was hidden in some trees, and in the heat of the summer, August or September, it would be almost completely dry. A year or two ago, I took the excavator and dug a big hole right where the spring is to see if it would fill with water, and it did.
How deep did you dig this down?
Probably like 5 or 6 feet, maybe. But, I mean, that's kind of a rough estimate. On this trip, we also brought a super cheap water pump that Chris had bought to fill up his truck with water for watering down the road. We brought that pump up to pump all the water out of the big hole that I dug and see how quickly it would refill, to get an idea of if it's a viable water source for the property and for building and construction. 60 cubic meters per hour. Yeah. A cubic meter of water. What a weird way to rate it. Maybe someday the world will agree on a unified measurement system, but in the meantime, we are constantly doing math to convert from metric to standard to British measurements. Personally, I think the only thing that makes sense is the metric system, but sadly I grew up without it, so none of it is intuitive to me. It's 12:43. We'll see how many minutes it takes to... You like my rock culvert over here?
I figured that was for water flow.
Yeah. This is where all the water flows out in the spring, so I just dug down here like 4 feet deep with the excavator, took all the mud out, and then put a bunch of big crushed rock in there. This video is sponsored by Mint Mobile, which offers premium wireless coverage without the premium price tag. Mint Mobile is challenging the wireless industry by cutting out the nonsense. No hidden fees, no overpaying for features you don't need, just premium wireless starting at $15 a month. All plans include unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network. And Mint Mobile covers 98% of Americans with 5G and 99% with 4G LTE. Mint also introduced the concept of bulk buying to wireless. The more months you pay for up front, the more money you save. Plans come in 3, 6, or 12-month durations. And with their easy online wireless shopping experience, switching to Mint Mobile is incredibly easy. You can sign up and activate in minutes with eSIM from the comfort of your own home. And when you switch to Mint Mobile, you can bring your existing unlocked phone, or you can shop new phones at Mint.
And either way, you keep your old phone number and all of your contacts when you switch. Also, Mint Mobile lets you choose the amount of data that's right for you, so you're not paying for something that you're not using. Select from 5, 15, 20 gigabytes, or unlimited each month. And 96% of users rate themselves as highly satisfied with Mint's customer care. So click the link below where new customers can get their premium wireless plan that starts at just $15 a month. This is the unit that was leaking. And last time, all I had to do was take it apart, clean out the crap, and put it back together again, and it was fine.
Well, I'm going to sign you up to be an army mechanic.
At this point, I'm pretty well qualified to work on Humvees and MTVs.
I'm not 100% certain how this part of the braking system works. I was told that it's part of the anti-lock braking system on the truck. Somewhere in the system, something has deteriorated or is deteriorating and is just loose chunks of like plastic or rubber are breaking off and getting blown around in the air system. And they end up in this unit, whatever it does, and stop it from closing all the way. And then all the air just bleeds out of the system. So once again, I just took it apart, cleaned it, put it back together, and we were back in business.
What's that? There's that little nursery rhyme. Jack Sprat could eat no fat and his wife could eat no lean. Together they lick the platter clean.
Yep.
Steven, which one's your favorite?
I don't know. I actually probably only tried like 1 or 2 ever. What do we got here?
You got grape.
Root beer, cola, huh?
You got cherry. You got orange. And then these two are root beer and cola, but I really can't tell which one's which.
Look. Oh, yeah. Oh.
All right, well, that was fun.
How much time?
It pumped for about 10 minutes, and we still had quite a bit of water left.
So we know it's over 1,000 gallons.
Yep.
Basically, our strategy for the first day of work up at the property was start with the stuff we need to do right where the house site is, where all the equipment is, and then work our way down the road with all of our little side quests till we get to the part of the road that we want to do the main work on. So we stopped by the watering hole, as I'm going to refer to it now, and I took the excavator and just dug out some more mud out of the bottom of it so that it would be a little cleaner water and a little bit deeper of a reservoir.
I filled back in with quite a bit of water.
Yeah, it was far from the top already.
Sometime in the future, probably at this point in the spring, once the snow has melted, we'll bring up a cistern and install it so that we can have a water reservoir that's got a pump in it, and we'll actually be able to pump that water out without it just being an open, muddy hole in the ground. But for now, we're just going to dig out some of the mud, put it in the dump truck, and then haul it off to somewhere where we need extra fill on the side of the road.
So now that we have the dump truck up here, I can fix some sections of the road that I was never able to really work on before. Right here, I can't go any more into the bank because it's just bedrock, and I don't have any dirt to pull here to fill it in. So now we're gonna dump some of this mud here and I'll push it off the side. Obviously mud isn't a great road base, but I'll just use it as fill.
This section of road was not necessarily the most difficult to build when I was building the road a couple of years ago, but I did run into a lot of trouble here because I just ran into bedrock almost immediately, which means I couldn't break it up. I couldn't dig deeper to make the road a sensible shape. I had to just fill in around it with what dirt I had, and that part of the road, due to the bedrock situation, there wasn't a lot of extra dirt.
Go down there and break up some of that bedrock so that hill's a lot better.
All right, Chris, you're not allowed to roll this one off this cliff.
No, I won't.
I was pretty much planning on just bringing in a bunch of fill and covering up these lumps of bedrock. But we did have the mini skid steer there with the breaker hammer on it, and Chris decided he wanted to tackle that chunk of bedrock with the breaker and see how much of it he could break up. I didn't ask him to do that. That was all his idea. But he spent hours just breaking up that rock with the tiny Timu skid steer. And that thing is absolutely useless as a skid steer to pick up dirt or rocks, but it works really great to just run a small breaker hammer. Once we started working on the super steep section of road, that's where we're getting all the fill to fill in the bedrock section. And I started by collecting up a lot of the little boulders that I'd tossed off to the side with the excavator when digging in this section at other points in the road building history, while also collecting up a bunch of good fill dirt from the sides and dumping that into the dump truck as well.
Man, this makes building roads so much better, having a dump truck.
So much easier. You can move so much material.
Yeah, I mean, when I built this road, you can see where I'm standing now, and you can see how far down I cut here to make this hill possible, because this is the best material right here. I mean, aside from the larger rocks, it's a perfect, like, road material.
Yeah, you're actually getting down to some nice
Yeah,
materials.
it's a bunch of gravel mixed with just enough dirt to hold it together. I'm just kind of smoothing out the sides and digging down the apex of this hill a little bit, just so that we can get some material up to where we need it over there. You know, if we get that section looking nice, we can take some of this down there as well and fill in some low spots. And while we're doing all of that, it'll also make this hill less steep. Because right now, this hill is ridiculously steep. If you want to drive up it in something that's not four-wheel drive, you have to get a run at it. That's how steep it is.
Well, you ran her right out of gas, didn't you, Chris?
Yeah, I'm getting it pretty good. If I bust that one up, he gets the excavator up here. He can break off a bunch too. It's pretty loose down in there. That'll make it so it's way better at the apex of this hill.
Yeah, this was always a rough
You
spot.
climb up the hill, and then you go flat instantly, you know?
When I was loading dirt and rocks into the dump truck with the excavator, I was trying to be extremely careful to not drop rocks on the roof of the dump truck. Most of the time I was loading over the backside, but every once in a while it made more sense to load over the front of the cab, and unfortunately I failed. Despite Steven being the one who's never run an excavator before, it was me that broke something.
I might have done a little boo-boo here. I thought I was being very, very careful, and a rock like this big fell out of the bucket, and it went plonk. Oh well, windshield needed to be replaced anyway, right?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look too much different, really.
I like to learn things the hard way and make work for myself, so, you know, mission accomplished. Oh! Good boy. Get in there. Get it back. Get it back. No, that's the driver's seat.
Does he make a pretty good co-pilot?
He does, yeah. Stinky one, but, you know.
I've had Bjorn and Frederick, who are brothers from the same litter, for 9 years now. They've been the best dogs I've ever had. But Bjorn has always been much more personal to me than Frederick. Frederick's a great dog. Everybody loves him. But he's super content to just sleep in a corner by himself and not really pay attention to anybody else. Bjorn always wants to be where the action is, and he always wants to be with me, whatever I'm doing, and that includes riding in the excavator with me when I'm working on it. Bjorn is generally kind of afraid of loud noises. He doesn't love riding in cars that are on rough roads, but surprisingly, he loves riding in the excavator with me. I don't know if he likes watching what I'm doing or if it's just because that's where I am and he wants to be with me, but he sits right behind the seat and just hangs out with me, which I love. It's awesome to have a little buddy in the excavator with me when I'm doing work.
German chocolate cake from the cook.
Should we make it?
Yep.
Wow. Better save that for dessert, though.
Why?
I don't know. So that we have dessert?
Well, I was thinking for dinner and breakfast would be pretty good.
Well, I mean, yeah, but we could also
I know,
roast some
I'll
sausages.
save it for dessert. Since you don't have any ice cream, I guess I'll have to give up my cake.
Yeah, we don't have a freezer up here. I mean, technically we do. That little refrigerator that came with the bus has a freezer in it, but we'd have to leave it running all the time for it to work. I think we need a bigger fire. The fire and the truck are both too small.
isn't here for this one, but he'd be proud of this hammock setup. We got the cameras, camera bag, battery bank, and the hammock right on the bus. View of the stars. And the dying fire.
Despite the fact that we have a school bus up at the property now, every time we camp up there, Steven and Edwin, if he's with us, decide to set up hammocks outside. I'm really not sure why, but that seems to be what they prefer. I have a queen-size bed in the very back of the bus that I set up for my wife and I to sleep in on our anniversary that we did up at the property this year. Chris usually has an air mattress on the floor, but his air mattress deflated, so we also have a little fold-out cot up at the school bus that he used the second night, and that worked out much better for him. Eventually, we've got to find a better setup for Chris, though, because he keeps sleeping in deflating air mattresses, and at 35, I feel like I'm too old for that kind of thing, so Chris being closer to 70, we definitely got to make a better sleeping arrangement for him. I always get up super early when we're camping and just in general, so I was up many hours before Chris or Steven were really ready to be awake. So once I got up, Chris realized I was out of the bed, so he moved back there and got a couple hours of extra comfy sleep in the big bed while I got breakfast and coffee going and went outside and stoked up the fire.
Nothing like breakfast in the bus. Hash browns, eggs, coffee, bacon. Chris is still passed out.
I was gonna say, we gotta get this on the table for him. It'll lure him over here.
Just go shake the box near him, it'll wake him up.
Oh, that was so cold. I was on my side, and my hip was right on the floor. The floor was freaking cold.
Oh, I believe it.
God, it was cold. Bjorn, come here. Huh?
Chris decided to give me a challenge to pick up a singular bottle cap candy with the bucket of an 11-ton excavator. I've seen all sorts of videos all over the internet of people doing very precision stuff with excavators, so it was a really fun little challenge to scoop up a teeny tiny piece of candy with a 27,000-pound machine. I'm not claiming to be the best operator in the world by any means, but my couple years and 100 or so hours of running this machine, I've definitely gotten a lot better at it than I was to begin with.
Oh, it's even an orange flavored. Nice.
Now you're a journeyman.
Uh-huh.
You passed the certification test.
Did I?
Yeah.
I thought about trying to pick it up, like pinching it, but there is no weight. The teeth
Exactly,
bypass.
go in between,
Yeah.
Look at that, Bjorn, your pool has filled back in.
That's pretty neat. That means it's probably more than 1,000 gallons a day that comes out of that spring, so that might be a lot of water for us. Maybe in the summer it's not as good, but that seems pretty nice for this time of year.
Come on. Go get the saw and sharpen up that tip a little bit. It's getting pretty dull on the end. Doesn't want to split the rock anymore.
After getting some good breakfast, we went back for our second day of excavation and road work. Started off with more of the same. Chris was breaking up the rocks while I was digging out the steep section of road and loading it into the dump truck to improve the narrower sections. As it turns out, the MTV dump truck is an absolute beast for building roads up on a mountain. Any dump truck would be handy, but this thing is so capable, it can handle a huge load of rocks and dirt and just go absolutely anywhere, which makes sense because that is more or less what the military designed it for. Military vehicles are rated on their weight capacity, and it's much lower than what you would expect for the size of the vehicle, and that's because they're rated to carry that weight over any type of terrain. So this is a 5-ton truck, which means it can carry 10,000 pounds. But not just 10,000 pounds down the highway. A normal dump truck that's rated for that would be a quarter of this size. It's rated to carry 10,000 pounds absolutely anywhere. snow, sand, mud, mountains. So it's absolutely perfect for the kind of stuff we do.
Well, we're making super good progress this morning. I dumped, I think 7 dump truck loads of rock and dirt here from down the hill. So that should be plenty to get this section nice and wide and smooth and looking good. And then we can work our way on down the road and see what we get done down there.
I'm definitely no expert on building roads in any way, but I have done a fair bit of it over the years, doing excavation for other people, helping build roads, and now building my own road with my own excavator. Generally, what I've seen is when you're building on a steep slope, you want to cut into the slope as much as possible so that your road is sitting on undisturbed ground. But when you do have to fill in, having a bunch of really big boulders helps a lot because you can stack all the big boulders on the downhill side and then fill in on top of them with the looser, softer fill dirt. And the boulders just help keep the dirt from sliding down the hill, and they help a lot with erosion. So luckily for building this road, we have a plethora of huge boulders. So this section that we're filling in with all the fill from the dump truck, I'm taking all large to medium-sized rocks out and placing them on the downhill side of the road before smoothing out the overall fill and making the road smooth. Once we smoothed out the upper section of the road that we were working on, I took the excavator back down to where we'd been scavenging the material from and started smoothing that section out and pushing the extra dirt down the hill to largely just to smooth out the steeper part of the hill, but also to push that extra dirt down to the bottom and generally just make that section wider, smoother, and less steep. This part took a lot of time because with all these rocks, even after picking out the biggest ones with the excavator, smoothing it all out is really tedious because every time you hit a rock with the blade, it bounces up and over it, and then the tracks run over that rock and the whole machine bounces up. Also, the excavator only has a two-way blade, meaning it only goes up and down. So you don't have the ability to angle it to the side to push the dirt left or right, or the ability to tilt to compensate for the angle the machine's at from driving on uneven terrain.
Smoothing out the bottom half of that hill took absolutely forever. But now we're down here and we'll collect up some of these nice flat rocks, put them in the bed of the truck and haul them back up. Not that we don't have enough rocks up there, but you know, these ones are cluttering up the side of the road anyway, so might as well. When you have a dump truck, might as well use it, right?
Once we got the steep part of the hill all smoothed out, we had the dump truck and the excavator at the bottom of that hill where there is a bunch of rocks. Largely just because there's a huge slide of rocks there, but also from all of the excavation that I've been doing, there's just big rocks stacked all over the sides. So since we had the machines down there, we decided to load up a bunch of the bigger, flatter rocks in the dump truck and haul them back up to the house site because we're going to need a lot of big flat rocks up there to build this cabin out of boulders.
That one doesn't want to break.
No, it doesn't.
One of these boulders was too big for the excavator to pick up high enough to get it into the back of the dump truck. So I just scooped it up with the bucket of the excavator and carried it up the hill since we were bringing the excavator back up to the top anyway.
Ethan and Chris must have both really liked that rock because he's trying to get it up the hill right now. And I didn't really think it was gonna work, but he's still moving.
Based on the capacities chart on the window of the excavator, it can pick up about 15,000 pounds at its most optimal point. And I don't think that takes into account the weight of the thumb on the bucket, and obviously it's not at the most optimal. So I'm guessing, based on how difficult it was to pick up this rock, it was probably about a 12,000 pound rock that I hauled up to the house site. Should make a good base for a section of wall. We had dumped a few more loads earlier in the day at the apex of the second hill where we'd been chipping away at the bedrock. So on the way back up to the bus, I took the excavator and smoothed that section out And then once we got the dump truck up there, we dumped all of its rocks into the house site. Then it was time to get the fire going again and cook up some dinner.
Well, I guess I get to be the first one to try out the new road.
That's true. Yeah. It'll be pretty nice. I made good progress on the road today. This always happens to me when I am working up here in the excavator. I'm like, oh, I'll just do a little work here. And then that turns into like basically the whole day, because by the time I like scoop it all up and then move it over here and then smooth it all out, it just takes forever. But we made huge progress on the road. The worst spots of it are now smoothed out, at least the worst spots on this end. Just gonna be me and Chris up here tonight.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.
I'll see you in the morning.
Yep. You're gonna miss out on some tasty burgers.
I know. I was a little disappointed not to have them last night, but the hot dogs were pretty good too.
Yeah. First time in a long time I've spent 2 nights in a row up here. It's really hard to get anything done when we just come up here one night at a time. So nice to have a little more time up here. Well, it was a little chilly in here last night, so we go ahead and fire up the wood stove. It originally went out right here, but I moved it forward so I could build a bigger bed in the back here. Chris is out there unscrewing the panel that covers that window up right now, and then we're gonna take the insulation and put it over there, and then take the one with the hole for the chimney and put it over there, and then it'll be nice and toasty in here while we cook our dinner. What do you think, Chris?
Oh, that smells really good.
The orange
Bacon, cheese.
Yep. Already got the bacon cooked. Cheeseburgers.
Sorry, Steven, you really missed out tonight.
He really did.
Really missed out, dude.
Once again, the second morning, I woke up way earlier than necessary and well before the sun came up. So since I was already up, I went outside, stoked up the fire, pushed all the ends in, and then decided to go ahead and fire up the excavator and get a little bit of rearranging of rocks done. Nothing like breakfast in the bus, right? Got hash browns, eggs, bacon,
Cheese,
onions, tomatoes, and coffee.
hot drinks.
Chris doesn't like coffee, so he's got some chamomile tea in a plastic cup because we forgot to buy him hot chocolate.
It's okay.
You were at the store, so it's on you as much as it is me.
I know.
Are you happy that Steven's back?
Look what I got! Look what I got!
Oh, wow. He's so
I
excited.
know. I figured you'd be excited. I have hot chocolate for Chris, though. So.
Nice. You find some good rocks over there, Chris?
Yeah, I did. You know what the next rock's got to be?
What?
The one you left on the side over there.
Yeah.
It's just the perfect thickness.
Yeah.
Oh!
Dude. He's wasting no time.
I'm having one right now.
Has he been having withdrawals like 2 days without it?
He found a random chamomile tea bag in the food bin. I have no idea where it even came from.
Was it trustworthy?
Well, I mean, it was sealed. It wasn't like...
Okay.
just, you know.
Yeah, that's fine.
So he had that this morning.
Oh,
so
okay.
With a ton of sugar in it. So it's like
yes.
basically hot water with sugar.
Yeah, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Dude, you're sick. You know it?
Sick?
Yeah.
Why?
You brought me hot chocolate.
Oh, sick in a good way. Okay, yeah. Chris, you're picking up on the lingo.
Yeah, I am.
I don't know if that was like a completely normal usage of the word sick.
No, I like it. I'm taking that from now on. Edwin's gonna show up and I'm like, you're sick.
Yeah.
After Steven arrived in the morning with a whole box of hot chocolate for Chris, we got back to work, and the first thing I did was go back down the hill a ways and pick up the giant rock that I'd left on the way up the night before. This rock was so big and heavy that if the excavator wasn't going uphill, it was enough to tip the excavator forward. But I got it up to the house site and placed it in the big pile with the rest of the rocks before we started rearranging and figuring out exactly where we wanted to put all the rocks. Before we started arranging rocks and actually trying to build something, we went and got another dump truck load of nice flat rocks from the massive boulder field that's behind the house site on the property.
Basically, it was only a matter of time.
Yup. I was pulling back from dumping, and I still had my hand on the stick. I thought I'd let off all the way, so I was looking this way to see where I was going, and it just kept coming back.
A lot of these rocks ended up breaking into pieces when they came out of the dump truck, but that's perfectly fine because we're going to need lots of smaller rocks to fill in between the larger ones. We're starting on the downhill side of where the cabin's going to be, and we're starting with literally the largest, flattest rocks we can find and pick up with the excavator. The idea here is we're just digging down to bedrock on the bottom side and then arranging these rocks so that they sit nice and stable and flat. And that's just going to be the base for the wall on that side. On the other sides of the cabin, we don't have to bring the level up quite as much. So we're going to basically just start with the first layer of the wall instead of these giant flat boulders.
Compaction. Yep, packed in. Getting my workout in. Grind hard CrossFit Co. While Chris is scavenging some more rocks, I'm just filling in all the gaps here with some nice gravel.
This part of the process is very slow progress and very time consuming. And to be honest, the whole process is going to go pretty slowly because we have to find just the right shape of rock or find the wrong shape of rock and break it down to size. And given that every rock weighs thousands of pounds, we have to pick it up with the excavator, spin it around, get it in the right position, test if it fits, and then probably rearrange it a few times. As we get farther into the process, we're going to bring up a bunch of mortar, and we're going to start mortaring the rocks together. Once we get away from the many thousands of pound rocks that we're dry stacking, we'll start mortaring everything together. And in fact, we'll also fill in between a lot of these bigger rocks with small ones and mortar that all together. This is just really the very first stage in preparing to build the cabin, is getting the site leveled and getting it all sorted out.
Chris, I think you have a fetish for listening to diesels idle.
I love it.
You left that truck over there idling for the last hour while you load it up.
No, I've been moving it.
Uh-huh.
I got some really good ones.
Nice.
Really good ones.
Nice.
After getting a few boulders arranged and filling in between them with the smaller rocks, we went back for another load of rocks in the dump truck because despite having a whole pile of them, there never seems to be just quite the right size and shape of rock to fit the spot we need. And at the end of the day, we're going to need many, many more truckloads of rock before this building is finished. Really, this is just the very first stage of building. We're just getting the site leveled, getting some big rocks on the bottom end, and just kind of working to get a plan for how we want to actually build this.
I dropped one of my nice flat rocks off a cliff. Oh, luckily it landed right there, so I might actually be able to retrieve it. But right now I'm just kind of... I thought this rock was sitting here really good, and I mean, it's all right, but there's a lot of air gaps under it, so I'm going to try and finagle it a little more.
It may not look like much, but getting these first few boulders placed in just the right spot, getting them all stable and to fit together on a surface that they're not going to slide off of is a huge step in the right direction towards getting this cabin built in a way that it'll last not just hundreds of years, but ideally thousands. And many parts of this process will probably end up moving the rocks again, rearranging them, and mortaring them together. So some of this dry stacking is just to arrange the rocks and make sure they all fit and get a plan together before we actually start permanently getting the rocks in place.
So close!
After working on the downhill side of the cabin for a while, we switched gears and started stacking some rocks on the uphill side. And in this case, it wasn't very far down in the dirt to basically bedrock. The rock here was kind of already loose and broken up, which is perfect for what we're doing because basically anytime you're building a foundation, you put a bunch of gravel underneath it essentially and then pack it down. So that's basically the perfect substrate for building, and that's what is underneath the soft, loose dirt on top. So here I started placing just some really big, more square boulders that would be the great beginnings of a wall, because on the back side of the cabin, we're not going to have to fill in at all. The floor level will start basically at ground level once we've filled in with some gravel and compacted it and whatnot. At this point, Edwin had finished editing and posting this week's video, and he showed up, predictably, doing wheelies on one of his Chinese dirt bikes.
Is this your best one?
Oh, this is my most reliable unit with a headlight. I'm getting a new storage unit, man. I put my first bike in there. I think it's long enough to do all of my bikes in a row.
That's pretty long.
I got 3 dirt bikes in the mail yesterday. I almost have 30 now.
You should have seen the look of disappointment on Chris and Ethan's face when they dropped one of their favorite boulders down the hill.
Oh, really? That one?
Yeah, they really liked that one.
Wow.
We almost rescued it too.
I like how you have your future rocks ready to grab over here. That's nice.
Well, you need a big assortment to be able to, it's like a puzzle.
Yeah.
You know, you arrange all the pieces and then you start figuring out where they go.
Yeah.
Except this one has no answer.
Yeah.
It's just, there's no,
And you
There's
have
no-
a lot more puzzle pieces over there.
yeah. Near
Yeah.
infinite puzzle pieces.
Bjorn! Did your brother come up here?
No. So Einstein had to go to the vet,
Oh,
and
really?
Frederick is Einstein's emotional support dog to go to the vet.
Really? But
Yeah.
Frederick doesn't like the vet either.
No, he was just along for the ride. He didn't go into the vet. Subscribe and stay tuned if you want to see this all come together.